Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash, and double honors as always to the apostles, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutation as always goes to the elect, starting with the Tabernacle of David, all right? The 144,000 who under Yahweh Shai HaMashiach will be the governing body of the kingdom of heaven, all right, which is the kingdom to come. All right, the Tabernacle of David established on earth as it is in heaven. After them, you have the large multitude, the rest of the men, women, and children, all right, of the nation of Israel, who will be gathered from all four corners of the earth and brought back to safety and righteousness, man. And that body is known as the remnant, all right, those who were foreordained to be heirs to the promise that was given to our fathers, starting with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, and in these latter days, we are rebuilding the tabernacle of David, all right, which has been decimated, all right, since the fall of Solomon, okay? All 12 tribes have been pretty much broken apart. You know, the kingdom, northern and southern, has been rent, all right, and we've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth and suffered many various different captivities. And now we're in the last captivity where that tabernacle would be rebuilt, all right? And the tabernacle in these times are the believers, all right, starting with the men of the Lord who were foreordained to go out and preach this word in these latter days, all right? So peace and salutations to all of you brothers and you sisters who are in the right spirit, all right, and have a fervency and hope, all right, and hasten in the kingdom of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, as we are in a year of hastening, all right? And looking around you, you see why it's very important to hasten for that kingdom, all right? Now, we're going to get into the book of First Maccabees, the second chapter. The last video we went into First Maccabees, the first chapter, and we're getting understanding of the holy day known as Hannukkah or Chanak, which means dedication. All right, because at that time that the Greeks sacked and rampaged the temple, okay, the Lord allowed us favor so that we can rededicate the temple. Okay, and everything in our history, you know, surrounded around the tabernacle at the time of Moses, and then at the time of Solomon, which David gave Solomon the blueprint, a temple was built, you know, and that temple, as we always go into, represented a direct presence of the Most High on earth, all right? So now that we don't have a physical temple, okay, the believers, starting with the men of the Lord, are known as the temple, known as Jerusalem, okay? And the heathen have their mind to take down this temple as well, all right? Because we are building a spiritual temple, as it is written in the Holy Scriptures. We are God's building. So we're going to jump into First Maccabees, the second chapter, all right? As you remember, the Greeks, you know, under Antiochus, who was of the Seleucid lineage, and you can look up all of these names in history as well. He and his cohorts ultimately Hellenized the heathen roundabout, all right, and the Israelites, okay? Now, Hellenization means what? One who takes on Greek fashion, speaks the Greek language, takes on the Greek customs, takes on the Greek religion, all right? As we go here, First Maccabees 1 and 42, it says, I start at 41, just a little recap. It says, moreover, King Antiochus, or Antiochus, wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. So the heathen were down with it, okay? Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion as well, and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. And like we were telling you, without understanding this history, there's no way you can open up the New Testament and understand Paul's writings, okay, and understand who the Gentiles are, all right? Because our people became heathen-like when they started to take up on these customs. But, all right, there was always a remnant, okay, who ultimately remained faithful, okay, and stood and fought for the temple, okay, even up to the time of Yahweh Shai, the Hasmonean dynasty, all right? When you go into that history, there was always particular Jakes, all right, in particular of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, as it is written in the scriptures, Judah ruled faithful with the saints, All right, but Israel, pretty much, they had already left from the Assyrian captivity and went over to the Americas, man. Okay, so Judah remained faithful. All right, particular of them remnants of them, and we're reading about a remnant of them right now with the Maccabees family, starting with Mattathias. So we're going to jump here to First Maccabees, the second chapter, and the first verse. Okay, remember at the very end of the first chapter, it says in the verse 62, it says, howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and conferred themselves not to eat any unclean thing, as our people will sacrifice unto these idols. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with the meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. All right. So many of our people stood firm and said, nope, we'll rather take death than eat this abominable flesh and allow, all right, these heathen to have us sacrificing these unclean beasts, which are not permitted and are profane according to the laws. And what does profane mean? Outside of the temple. Profanity is not merely saying a curse word like S-H-I-T, all right, B-I-T-C-H. All right, those are the harsh words of this day, but true profanity, profane means outside of what is hallowed or allowed within the law, statutes, and commandments. That's the true profanity, okay? Eating a piece of swine is true profanity. You're profaning yourself, your temple, okay? So verse 1 in First Maccabees, the second chapter, says, in those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son, all right, of Simon, a priest, Simeon, a priest. So Mattathias was the father of this particular family who would go on to be known as the Maccabees family. Okay, and ultimately they stood firm, and particular men were joined with them. All right. So it says, a priest of the son Jorab from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Molden, all right, and had 5 sons, Jonan called Caddis, Simon called Thassi, all right, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, who will go on to be the head. Okay, after Mattathias, his father, passed away, it says Eleazar called Avaron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Apis. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, what did he see? Because remember, the Greeks came through and set up all manner of abominations. Okay? Set up all manner of abominations and had all sorts of idols in the temple and all sorts of wickedness going on. So when Mattathias, okay, this family of Israelites, and they were of the tribe of Levi, okay, when they saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, woe is me, okay? Wherefore I was born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, all right? And the sanctuary into the hand of strangers, okay? He's like, damn, you know? So it says, her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. All right. And these were Edomites who did this. Okay. It says, what nation have not had part in her kingdom and have gotten of her spoils? Okay. And that's the nation of Israel, man. I mean, you know, going back to Adam, we don't know the exact, you know, time frame that, you know, he ruled, you know, before the fall. All right. But since Adam, ultimately, eventually you had Solomon, where we had 40 years of peace. 40 years of peace. That's all we've had as a nation of Israel, of sovereignty and peace on the earth, man. That's it. So what nation have not had a part in her kingdom and have gotten of her spoils? The Israelites, man. Constant hell, man. And we're finally just now coming back, all right, into that state where we're getting ready to be brought back to that glory. It took all of this. And this was a beautiful story, all right, and a beautiful movie, all right. And now the word is getting ready to be fulfilled, where we're going to be brought back to that glory to have the kingdom, man. And the Lord took us through hell, man. He took us through a lot, okay? So the sons of God are back. And that's what we represent, receiving the Holy Spirit, Rakhakodash, to get the victory, man, okay? So it says, all her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she has become a bond slave. See that? She's become, her values become lessened. All right. And behold, okay, and behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. All right. The natural Gentiles being the Greeks. Okay. They have profaned it. They have put things in there wherein the law didn't permit. That's true profanity. While you people are watching our videos now, yeah, we shouldn't, overuse these, the harsh words of the day. Even at the time of Yahushua, they had the harsh words of that time. Calling someone a viper or a snake or a fox, or saying woe unto you, or calling something. Daniel called those wicked jakes who tried to, run a train on Susanna. What did he call it? He said, you a seed of Canaan and not of Judah. Those were curse words, so-called curse words back then. So yeah, we do have the harsh terms of this time, all right? But true profanity is when you do things that are not forbidden, all right, in the holy, that are forbidden to do in the Holy Scriptures, in the law, that are against the Spirit, that are outside of the temple, okay? So he's looking at the temple in a profane state, and he's mourning, right? So it says here, to what end therefore shall we live any longer? All right, this is our whole life. See, our glory and everything is surrounded around that temple. All right, so for you Israelites to understand that a spiritual temple is being built should have you in a, like, whoa, yeah, the water Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It no longer has to be that physical temple. Now it's through the Spirit. Then that's where we have the victory in a relationship and connection with Yahweh, all right, Bahashem Yahushai. Okay? We no longer have to go to one of the sons of Aaron only to get a message from the Most High. Now all 12 tribes have access, and wherever the elect are, that is Jerusalem. That is the temple, and that's where that connection lies, that Esau, all right, the 2/3, no one can take that connection away. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And the heathen knew that the temple, all right, was where our glory lied, and our connection with the Most High God Yahweh through the mercy seat, all right, which is his voice, his only begotten son, dwelt. So they knew if they could profane it, all right, they got us. And these are Edomites. Now remember, they helped the Babylonians to destroy the temple. Now here it is, they're the Greeks with their power. They're like, let's decimate it. All right? So, and it eventually did get decimated under the Romans, who were Edomites. Now we're in this last leg of the Roman Empire, the rebirth of the fourth beast. All right? And they're going to try to come after this temple right here. All right? The spiritual one. And that's what this is all about. Okay? Fuck. Scratched myself earlier. It says, let's see here. And then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sore. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together, okay, because Jake was doing that wickedness, and answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on his wise, thou art a ruler, an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Okay, you have great influence, came these sellouts, all right, or the king's officers, all right, because they knew this particular line. They were like, nah, we ain't with it. So he came to him, knowing his influences, and tried to cut him a deal. He said, therefore, come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. All right, get that juice. Here, take this jab, man. Okay, the heathen are doing it. A lot of your people are doing it to you. Look, TD Jake's doing it, right? Look at all of the people of your nation that's doing it, man. Why wouldn't you do it? The same thing our people were faced with back then. We're starting to see that ramp up as Hellenization, this technical Hellenization, all right, with this dinosaur DNA that they're trying to activate you with is being pushed, man. Okay? It says, let's see here. Let me read it again. Now, therefore, come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou in thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and with gold and many rewards. And they were basically presented with the bag. All right, they were basically seeing how noble they were and the reputation they had. Ultimately, they came to Mattathias, all right, the father, with a plea to sell out. Okay, now let's hear Mattathias' response, because they offered him the bag, they offered him honor. Okay, and you got like Johanna. Now I read somebody say they don't think he took the bag. Johanna took the bag, bro. Now whether it's on a high level or on a low level, he took some form of a compromise. He's compromised, okay, because he, being a man of reputation in Israel, was used as a face to promote Hellenization of the Israelites and telling them to bow to the Hellenization. So he is compromised. He took the bag. Nate took the bag. Why do you think he's rebelling against the name of the Lord? There are sellouts, brothers. Okay? Not everybody, just because they call on the name of the Lord. Now, there's levels to it, of course. You got some people who are high-level agents and sellouts. You got some people who may take, you know, aid in the form of the 501c3, and there's particular things they can't say, and there's particular things they have to push, and they get paid for that. There's a thing where celebrities were offered money, and you had athletes. They had this one particular athlete, I believe his name is last name is Bogut. He said he was approached to ultimately promote the juicy juice, all right, to the people where he was at, but he was like he thought, he was like, nah, man, I don't, you know, I got enough money. Why would I do that? What good is this for my people? But here it is, you have Israelites, Johanna in particular, Tazariak, they're being used as tools because they're men of reputation. They're known to go out and be hardcore Hebrew, right? But they're used as tools to push the juicy juice. So yes, they sold out. That's taken aback. They got paid for that, man. Don't think for their organization received some form of compensation for that. But anyway, what did Mattathias say when they came to him with the bag? Okay. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away every one from their religion of their fathers and give consent unto his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. Okay, and that's ultimately the mindset we should have, seeing all of this madness going on here in Babylon the Great. Okay, we in these latter days have been called into what? Repentance, obedience, man. Nowhere in the scriptures that we get to go ahead to bow to the image of Baal, the image of the beast. As a matter of fact, let's get the book of Romans, the 7th chapter. Okay, Romans, the 7th chapter, man. Okay, let's see here. Romans 11, Salakia. Romans 11 and 4. But what said the answer unto the Most High unto him? I have reserved unto myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so, at this present time, there is a remnant according to the election of grace. Even so, at this present time, there is a remnant, and the remnant is being raised up. So when you read about the remnant, as a matter of fact, the remnant were prophesied to do what? All right, you guys are faithless, man. I need to, and I love this particular kind of Bible. It's a Gideon Bible, but I think they're out of print. All right. I just love the size of it, you know. So I'm holding on. This is Isaiah 10 and 20. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. All right? They're no longer going to lean upon Esau, Edom, the devil. All right? But they're going to lean upon Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, okay, in sincerity and truth. Okay? And ultimately receive a standard is going to be lifted up. Okay? We weren't created, the remnant weren't created to bow. Okay? Because in order for this story to be fulfilled, there's a remnant that are ultimately going to be like, hell no. We're going to stick to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, man. All right? So they're going to return even the remnant of Jacob unto the Most High. All right? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness. And a remnant has returned, and they're through. And that's why they're moving with all of this wrath, because they know that ultimately this is their end. All right? The spirit has been activated within the true believers, man. So going back to 1 Maccabees chapter 2, it says, let's see here. It says, where were we? 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall every one from the religion of their fathers and give consent unto the commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. There you go. Upstanding men of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And these are the men that should be taught to our children. Okay? Not no goddamn Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King. They've all made what? Covenants with the heathen. Okay? And then at the end of Martin Luther King's life, what did he say? I feel like I led my people into a burning building. Because your dream of Jacob and Esau dwelling together in unity is not prophetic. Okay? It's not prophetic, man. You're not accepted by these people, man. And here it is, you're marching around the planet Earth making a fool of yourself, crying for them to accept you, which is against prophecy. They're not supposed to accept you. All right? So, it says, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the law and ordinances. We will not hearken unto the king's words to go from our religion, the law, statutes, commandments, the covenant, either on the right hand or on the left. Now, he's taking heed to sound counsel, because when you go into the Proverbs, the scriptures tell you, keep wisdom with you, veer not off to the right or to the left, keep on a straight path. If somebody can post that precept, all right, on a comment board, it says, when you take on to wisdom, you look not to the left hand or to the right hand, all right, which is a precept. He went into the precepts, okay, as the scriptures say, all right, though other gods rule over us, yet will we only make mention of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, okay? So yeah, these other gods have dominion over us, but we've only going to make mention of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Let me get one more precept, as it's on my mind, on my spirit. The book of Proverbs. Hopefully that page is in here. Proverbs 119. Okay. Let's see here. And that's the battle here in this flesh, to stick to the instructions, man. All right. Let's see here. I'll just read this one. Verse 54, thy statutes have been songs in the house of my pilgrimage. I have remembered thy name, O Lord, in the night I have kept thy law. Verse 69, the proud have forged lies against me, but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. And that's what Mattathias is that's the behavior he's exuding right here. That's not what Johanna's doing, right? I will never forget thy precepts, verse 93, for with them thou hast quickened me. All right, thy testimonies, 111, and I'm in Psalms 119, thy testimonies have I taken as a heritage forever, for they are the rejoicing of my heart. Verse 157, many are my persecutors and my enemies, yet do I not incline. Well, let me read this. Psalms 119 and 157. Many are my persecutors and mine enemies, yet I do not decline from thy testimonies. And when you go into the book of Proverbs, it say, look, don't veer to the right or to the left, keep thee on the straight path, right? So that's exactly what Mattathias is saying, all right? Let's read it again. Yet I, verse 20, 1 Maccabees 2 and 20, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or on the left. We're going to keep straight on the narrow path. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar that was at Modin. According to the king's commandment, they would make them do these particular sacrifices every month, right? As we read in the first chapter, it says, which thing when Mattathias saw, so they had to be away from Jerusalem at the time, and they're returning. This fella, oh, like, damn, what the hell happened, right? Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. So he saw Jake sacrificing swine flesh. He saw Jake practicing the heathen customs, and he was so livid and inflamed. Okay, like you walking down the street, you see two Jake moles. One of them got on pumps, the other one got on a tight leopard, you know, the tank top wife beater, and you looking like, look at these niggas, man. You get inflamed, but you know we can't do anything. But here, right here, you see, and that's the importance of Yahweh Shai. He taught that. Look, this is not our rest. This is not. We don't get a victory here. We're not under our covenant right now. We're not under. Ultimately, the law, statutes, and commandments aren't what rule this world. The heathens' laws rule this world. So you got to act accordingly, right? You can't judge a mo. You can't walk up and down the street judging and saying, well, the law say this. Nah, you keep the laws to the best of your ability, you and your house, right? But when you go out into this world, you can't exude your own judgment. But we're reading about a time here, all right, which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. He put this nigga to death. Now, when you understand this story, this will help you to understand why there was so much disdain between those Jews of the circumcision who represented those who were raised in the customs and those who were ultimately offspring of these Israelites who were sacrificing to these idols. They looked down upon them, all right? They looked at them as if they were heathen. They hated them, man. They were like, man, these niggas are the ones who ultimately started to bow to idols. You're an offspring of a heathen. You're not an Israelite anymore. They were Israelites by birth, but their practices and deeds, they were looked at as uncircumcision. As a matter of fact, okay, because the Mattathias represents the circumcision. Okay, matter of fact, Ephesians chapter 2. But eventually some of those descendants of these Jakes who practiced and bowed to these idols eventually woke up. Like us. Did not your father and mother teach you Greco-Roman practices? You were raised up celebrating Christmas. Okay? According to those who were already preaching the word, we were looked at as heathen, man. Right? Ephesians 2 and 11. Wherefore remember that being in past in the times past, remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, meaning the things you did made you Gentiles, who were called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. That was the Israelites raised in the customs. Yes, they were physically their penis was circumcised. Because remember, we read in First Maccabees, the first chapter, what happened? They were forbidden to circumcise their children. Okay? So not only were they called the uncircumcised, but they were called heathen, they were called Gentiles, they were called a no people, they were called common. All right, when you go into the Greek for the word common, it means Levitically unclean. So there were particular Israelites looking down upon other Israelites, and you just saw an example of that with Mattathias and how he put that dude to death for sacrificing swine's flesh. So this helps you to understand as you read the history in Paul's writings and things like that, why these particular of the uncircumcision and heathen were looked down upon. It's not that they were actual heathen, it's that they were ultimately looked down upon because they were descendants of these people who did shit like this, and they were doing it in their time. But some of them eventually, through the preaching of Yahweh Shai, woke up and repented. And there was a tumult in the church, like, man, them niggas ain't coming back in. These dudes are Greeks, man. These dudes are completely out of there. So hopefully that helps you understand as you see that term Greek in the New Testament and heathen, because that's who Paul ultimately went and preached to, these Jakes who were laden with Greco-Roman customs but repented. Okay? So you can see the disdain right here. Okay? So Mattathias put this dude to death. Verse 25, also the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. Mattathias, he was just the Lord put the spirit. He was like, man, you niggas are tripping. He couldn't take it, right? Says, thus he dealt zealously for the law, all right, of the Most High, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri, the son of Salom, all right? And Mattathias, and I believe that's in the history, you can go look that up. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. All right? Follow me. Whoever amongst you people who are serious about keeping the law, statutes, commandments, follow me, man. To hell with this, man. We not with this madness, the Hellenization, right? And this is what we're saying here in these times. Starting with our apostles and elders, man. Okay? This is going to be a safe haven, a tabernacle where we can be covered from this BS, right? Ye who are troubled, rest with us. All right? So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that they had in the city. They didn't look back. They fled and ultimately went, and they had to what? Rely fully upon the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Shai, man. Okay? It says that many that sought after justice, it says, then many that sought after justice and judgment, all right, those who were sighing and crying for the abominations that were done in the midst thereof, all right, those who were ultimately looking around like, damn, okay, this is wicked, man, you know, they followed him. They followed Mattathias and his sons, all right, and his children, man, all right. It says that then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell therein, both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because the afflictions increased sore upon them. Because ultimately you were forced and you were outlawed to be a Jew. You were outlawed to practice the religion of your fathers. You were outlawed to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, to sacrifice the lawful things. That was outlaw. You had to do opposite of that. So both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because the afflictions increased sore upon them. So you had women as well, women and children as well. Now when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David, okay, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into the secret places in the wilderness, all right, they pursued after them a great number. And why isn't this a movie? Why isn't this a box office hit? Since the Jews, the Jewish rule the world. Why wouldn't this be a movie? Why aren't there more biblical movies with the chosen people ruling the world? It said they pursued after them a great number, having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day. Because on the Sabbath, technically, you're not supposed to do anything. And they said unto them, let that which ye have done hereunto suffice. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live. You know? But they said, we will do the king's commandment we will not, let me read it again. But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. Okay? So then they gave them the battle with all speed. Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they laid hid. Okay? But said, let us all die in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us that ye put us to death wrongfully. So our forefathers, they understood reincarnation as well. And they understood that, look, hey, this life ain't the end. We'll be back. All right. And that is one thing that helps you to take a death, understanding that you're going to be raised up again. Okay. In these times, we understand the men of the Lord that even if we're beheaded or something like that, because some of us are going to be beheaded according to Revelation, the 20th chapter, but we're going to be raised up with Hamashiach first and be good. So there's a comfort that comes with this truth, man. Let's get 2 Maccabees 6 and 11. I have that written down here. Let me see what that says. 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and 11 says, and others that had run together into the caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered to Philip, were all burnt together because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. Wow. Yep. So this whole book, 1st and 2nd Maccabees, is a beautiful book, man. All right, verse 39, it says, verse 38, so they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath day and slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to the number of 1,000 people. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood thereof, they mourned for them right sore. They heard about it. And one of them said unto another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not, all right, for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth, all right? And at that time, therefore, they decree, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him, neither will we die all as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places, because the scriptures say it's lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Okay, so they because the other ones, they were ultimately like, look, it's the Sabbath, we ain't gonna fight. So they just sat there and they were put to death. They were like, look, if we take that same stance, which that was the righteous thing to do, but if we take that same stance, they gonna kill us all. All right, so there's a point where you have to operate in the spirit. Yes, you have the technicalities of the law, but you have to operate in the spirit. And that's what they were doing here. They were like, look, if they come at us, we're gonna fight. Right? It says, and at that time, therefore they decree, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on a Sabbath day, we will fight against him. Neither will we die as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians, all right, Shalom, Yahbashim Yahshabrakatah, who were mighty men of Israel, even all such as were voluntarily devoted to the law. So there were other men who heard about the gathering of Mattathias and his sons, all right, Judas Maccabees and the rest. They were like, look, we down, man. What's up? You know what I'm saying? Y'all heard about them slaughtering your mans? You heard about what they did, yo? Well, what's up? All right? So And they and all also all they that fled from persecution joined themselves unto them, and were a stay unto them. So they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger and wicked men in their wrath, but the rest fled to the heathen for succor. So right here you see again the disdain those who stood passionately for the law in the temple had against those who submitted. That's why in the New Testament, okay, there was so much disdain for these Greeks, which were Israelites, Hellenized Greeks, all right, Hellenized Jews, all right, who took on the Greeks fashions, who were raised in those customs, all right, who ultimately repented. They were looked down upon, but the cut to this all is Abraham, because Abraham was raised as a Gentile. Terah, his father, was an idol worshiper, okay? So Abraham represents us. Abraham was raised and born in an actual physical Ur of the Chaldees, Babylon, right? And when you read about it, he followed those customs. He was raised in those customs like me and you. We used to chop up the pork pan, you know, the little square pan sausage. We used to chop it up into grits, Thanksgiving ham, okay, celebrating Christmas, celebrating dressing as a damn prisoner on Halloween, dressing as a skeleton on Halloween. Those are all heathenistic customs, okay? So Abraham was raised in these very customs, but the Lord returned him to his legacy as being a descendant of Adam through Seth, through Noah, through Shem, through Arphaxad, man, which are the sons of God. The Lord restored Abraham to his legacy in Ur of the Chaldees, Babylon, just as he's restored us. And the thing is, Abraham was uncircumcised. So you can't say that one who was raised in an uncircumcised state can't be brought back, because Abraham, our very father, was that's his very story. But that goes into the time of Paul and the disciples. I'm just showing you these things so that you can have a better understanding. And when you read the New Testament, that's why the history of understanding the Israelites in the Greek captivity is very important in understanding the New Testament. Anyway, so they slew these wicked men who sold out, who bowed to these idols, and some of them fled to the heathen to go tell on Mattathias and the Assyrians and these men who were gathered to keep the, you know, to stay faithful. They want to tell the king, right? All right. It says, then Mattathias and his friends went round about and pulled down the altars. Okay, they went and tore down these church buildings. And the children, soever they found within the coast of Israel uncircumcised, they circumcised them valiantly. So you see, this is a very beautiful story, man. They pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. So they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles and out of the hand of the kings. Neither suffered they the sinner to triumph. All right. They was putting those wicked jakes to death. They were pissed off, man. And remember, like I'm saying, that was a mindset that carried on to those jakes who fought for the relevance of the temple when the Romans came into power, man. Okay, although there was a lot of sellouts, they took pride, all right, because at the time Yahushua came on the scene, who did you have? You had these political parties, the Sadducees, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the Essenes, the Zealots. These were political parties, but they all had one thing in common. They stood for that temple. They fought for a so-called state of the Jews to be relevant in the earth, man. So they took pride in that. So to see these wicked niggas, the descendants in their eye, the descendants of these wicked jakes who bowed, who took on and bowed to these Greek customs, wake up, there was sort of like a reluctancy to accept them when you read the New Testament, all right? But anyway, going back to the story, okay? Verse 49, 1 Maccabees 2 and 49. Now when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, Now hath pride and rebuke gotten strength. Okay? The wicked people are being raised up and put in positions of power. It says, in the time of destruction, in the wrath of indignation. Now therefore, my sons, all right, this is his instruction, because he's going to pass away, and eventually Judas will be set up as first in command. Judas Maccabees. It says, now therefore, my sons, be zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenants of your fathers. All right. Call to remembrance.
Keep on drinking your water. Stuff like that.
All right. It says, call to remembrance what act our fathers did in their time, so shall you receive great honor in an everlasting name. All right. And that's why you got to read Hebrews, the 11th chapter, to comfort yourself sometimes, man. Okay. Our fathers were in the position we're about to be in as well. Noah, various of our fathers, Moses. Moses was raised as a Gentile. He was raised as an Egyptian, but he got understanding of his true legacy and he turned from it. So we ain't alone. We have very good company as we read these scriptures, man. All right. And it's not the easiest thing to do in the flesh, but it's necessary that a remnant do this. All right. So he said, call to remembrance what acts your fathers did in their time, so shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation? All right. And it was imputed unto him for righteousness. All right. When he was getting ready to sacrifice Isaac. All right. But his whole story, all right, being raised as a Gentile is comforting as well, because he was uncircumcised. He received the promises and everything while he was in uncircumcision. Right. So, but he was still the son of God. He was still of a particular lineage. It says, Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt. All right. The integrity of Joseph. All right. Some Ariella likes to go into. All right. Because he could have messed it by being emotional. Joseph could have messed everything up for the tribes. But his integrity, all right, patience. Phineas, our father, being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. I believe that's one of the sons of Aaron. Joshua, it says Jesus, but it's Joshua, all right, for fulfilling the word was made a judge in Israel. Caleb, bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land, showing you he couldn't have been a heathen, man. You got people teaching that Caleb was a heathen. Here it is. You can't even switch tribes when it comes to, your daughter ain't to marry another tribe when it comes to inheritance rights. But here a heathen can come and get inheritance. You people, man, this is why the Lord is going to destroy a lot of you Israelites, man. Okay? And we ain't going to feel sorry for you. Caleb, bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. David, Dawadah, the beloved, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Elijah, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven. Ananias, Azarias, and Misael, all right, by believing were saved out of the flame. That's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And those were their slave names, all right? He's saying their Hebrew names, okay? Just like we have slave names, all right? They had slave names in Babylon, all right? And we should take and read that story as well, because we're in Babylon all over again. And a decree is being made that if you don't do a particular thing, you're going to be thrown into the flame. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of lions. And thus consider ye throughout all the ages. See, he went into the scriptures for comfort, okay? He didn't go into his own opinion. He didn't sell out. He didn't say, well, if we just, take the jab. No, he said, look, man, we have we come from a legacy of fathers who stood stiffly, man, and were rewarded, right? It says, and thus consider ye throughout all the ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. Fear not then the words of a sinful man. All right, Esau, Edom. And this instruction goes for now as well. What the difference is, we're not taking up the sword and forming a actual military, getting swords and all of that. All right, but the thing is this: we're a spiritual army. It said they stood up on their feet as a great army, and great fear fell upon them, man. Right? So we could take a lot from this and add to our faith now. It says, "Fear not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found." As a matter of fact, let's get a precept. Sirach, the 10th chapter. Sirach 10 and 10. The physician cutteth off a long disease, and he that today is a king, tomorrow shall die. So this Edomite, you looking at Biden, you looking at all of these weirdos standing on the TV talking his proud talk about what you gonna do. Well, look, man, don't fear that, man. First of all, it's written in the story. They have to exalt themselves. They have to try to establish their NWO. They have to come with the charagma. That's all written in the Holy Scriptures, man. Right? But contrary to that, when you read Revelation, the 14th chapter, the men of the Lord are singing a new song, which is directly opposed to the NWO and bowing to their idols, man. Right? The hell is wrong with you Israelites, man? It says, let's see here. Where we at? Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found. You Edomites are going to be done, because he is returned unto his dust, and his thought has come to nothing. You Edomites, there's going to be a point where you don't even exist. Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall ye obtain glory. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He's setting up order. He shall be a father unto you. Okay? And that shows you that the term father doesn't always mean a direct father. A father can be someone who's an overseer, all right, a master. Okay? It doesn't always mean your direct father, because a brother asked a question about Abraham laying with his sister. All right, we'll get into that, because he didn't lay with his direct sister. All right, and she wasn't the direct son of his father. All right, but anyway, she wasn't the direct daughter of his father, Salaki. Anyway, it says, as for Judas Maccabees, okay, which Maccabees means the hammer, Judas, all right, of course, Yahweh, all right, and that's how you know the Most High's name is Yahweh, because when you go into the name Judah in the Hebrew, it's Yahweh. All right, if his name was Ahiah, it would be Ahiadah. No, it's Yahweh, which means praise the Most High. All right, or thanks. All right, thank you to the Most High, the water, Yahweh, and then Da is shortened for the water. All right, or praise, man. So the name Yahweh is in the name Judah. All right, so how in the hell don't we have the name of the Lord? All right, but then you calling yourself a Judite? What does that mean in the Hebrew? Oh, we don't have the Hebrew language. Really? Well, according to the scriptures, it never died. The heathen never had enough power to go up there and destroy the Hebrew language and the truth. Now they were able to suppress things, but the truth, which will be without fruit, will be declared in the latter days, man. And the name of the Lord is a part of that. Anyway, as for Judas Maccabeus, he have been mighty and strong even from his youth up. Let him be your captain and fight in the battle of the people. Take also unto you those that observe the law, and avenge ye the wrong of your people. Get those who are serious about the law, okay? Get those who are fervent in the spirit, okay? And you formulate a band, right? It says, recompense fully the heathen, and take heed to the commandments of the law. These are the instructions of Mattathias before he passed away. So he blessed them and was gathered to his fathers, and he died in the 146th year, and his sons buried him in the sepulchre of his fathers at Modin, and all Israel made a great lamentation for him. All right, so this concludes, all right, First Maccabees, the 2nd chapter. Next, we will get into First Maccabees, the 3rd chapter, okay? And then in the 4th chapter is where you have the fulfillment of the story of Hanukah, or Hanukkah, where they rededicated the temple, okay? And the Lord gave them refuge. Now, reading the first couple of verses in the next chapter, chapter 3, it says, then his sons Judas, called Maccabees, rose up in his stead. So this is where now you get the story of the Maccabees, okay? The Maccabees, okay? So now we're getting deeper into the story, but these are things you ought to know. I didn't want to just jump to the 4th chapter, all right? These are things you ought to know and understand to build your faith, and to understand also more about when you read the New Testament, why it says, because here it is, you got these Christians walking around, they don't acknowledge the Apocrypha, so they're walking around with a whole chunk of history missing out of the Bible, all right, just winging it. Nah, you got to know about the Maccabees in order to know about the New Testament, to understand why there was different mindsets and ideologies going on at the time of Yahushua when he came, okay? So, the spirit, in the flesh, I want to keep reading, but the spirit is telling me to make it 3 parts. So what I'll do, Lord willing, hopefully you all were edified. We'll give all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash, and double honors as always to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone. Peace and salutations as always to the elect, those of you who in these latter days have been awakened, have been quickened through the Holy Spirit to come back to the Most High through the sacrifice made by Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who sent you the prophets, okay? And the prophets are to put you in the right mind state. As a matter of fact, we're going to end it off on that, man, okay? I want to keep preaching, but, the point was made on that chapter, so let me just get this. I always bring this out. This is Sirach 36, or 36. And I'll start at 12. O Lord, have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Israel whom thou hast named thy firstborn. O be merciful unto Jerusalem, thy holy city, the place of thy rest. Now, right now, Jerusalem is being trodden down of the Gentiles. The temple is decimated, so we represent Jerusalem wherever we are. That's the beauty of this blessing that Yahushua gave us, the fact that now the Holy Spirit can be sent upon the remnant, the elect, wherever they are, and that's Jerusalem. That's the beloved city. Wherever the Israelites are, okay, keeping the law, statutes, commandments to the best of their ability through faith in Yahushua, all right? It says, and that's the place of his rest. That's the presence of the Most High on this earth. And that's how we overcome, all right? Fill Sion with thine unspeakable oracles, and fill thy people with thy glory, okay? And how would that be done? How are the Israelites, the remnant, going to be filled with the glory? Not through niggas just sitting in their living room talking shit in front of their computer. No, the Lord would send you your teachers. Your eyes would see your teachers, man. And they would give you the right mindset to be in. You can hear this, you got people scoffing against the camps, but the camps are on the front line, man. The camps, although not all of the camps are in the right spirit, but really those are the ones who are responsible for the spirit being pushed, starting with the apostles and the elders, because we were there, man. I happened to be one of the first who were under the apostles who said we're going to go out and preach too. So we saw and felt the presence of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua move through the apostles and the elders to say, get out there. There wasn't a bunch of people doing videos about Israel at that time. You had Nate. Yeah, he was out there. All right, but he was doing videos for 10 minutes, making you pay for the rest. But he was out there, and I'm not going to act like I didn't learn anything from him. Yes, I learned things from Nate. I learned things. Zabak was out there. He was always out there. All right, you got to give that brother credit. Zabak has always been out there. Okay. Recall from GOCC, he was out there. He was calling on the name of Yahweh. He was teaching about the MOTB. Now look at him. He's bugged out, calling on Haya. Okay, he's paid off. All right, but the bottom line, those are camps, and it was through. All right, starting with the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. That was where the influence for younger men as myself at the time. I was 26. All right, at that time, to get our asses up and preach. Right. So it's the camps that's at the forefront through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua that you all who or have these platforms calling yourselves Israelites, it all started with the camps going out. But now you niggas are the camps. You can't. Yeah. That's all right. Give testimony unto those that thou hast possessed from the beginning, and raise up prophets that have been in thy name. Reward them that wait for thee, and let thy prophets be found faithful. So give testimony unto those that thou hast possessed from the beginning, and raise up prophets that have been in thy name. Reward them that wait for thee, and let thy prophets be found faithful. And that's what's happening in these latter days, man. So peace and salutations unto the elect, man. Shalom.